Okay, so this is just going to be a tutorial on some general knowledge on modeling within 3D designing softwares and how to model them to be able to print, and also just how to export your models from the 3D designing software to a file format that can be used to print. This information is going to work for all 3D designing softwares, including SketchUp and AutoCAD Fusion 360, and also Rhino, which I am using right now because this is my 3D designing software of choice. So first things first, I would like to talk about this surface right here. As we can see, the surface is flat, it is 2D, there is no thickness to it. If we have any surfaces like this in our model, it will not be able to print because it is 2D, meaning there's no thickness. So if we export this as a file format to print it, it will not be able to print because in reality there's no surface right here because there's no thickness. So to fix that, we just add a little bit of thickness to it. Any amount usually works. As long as there's a thickness to it, the file will read and you'll be able to print it. So just add like maybe half an inch of thickness to whatever. Going off of that, we can see right here, I have a box with a open top, and all of these sides have no thickness to it. It is just a surface. And so obviously, again, these are 2D surfaces. These cannot be printed. So to fix that, I just added thickness to all of the sides. So now this can be printed as a box with a open top. Also, small lines like these usually aren't printed too well, so we want to make these scaled up a little bigger. If you want to have really small detail, you will have to use a smaller detail when you print it, but that takes a lot of time, and so I advise from staying away from small details because it's not worth the wait, and I feel that you can always do smaller details with something else, like maybe a laser cutter or a CNC machine. So right here, we can see this box is closed on all 6 sides. This box can be printed even though the sides are the same as this, just because it is a 3D model already. This in itself has thickness, and since all sides are closed, it means that this itself is a is a component that can be printed. Unlike these ones where the top surface is open, so then it makes it not have any thickness, but once all the sides are closed, it gives it thickness. So this can be printed. So now to export, we are going to select the model we want to export, and we are going to go down here to export selected. And the save file type, we are going to use the STL file type. STL is just the file type that all slicers for 3D printing will read. Sometimes it also works with transferring to different 3D softwares, but when we are 3D printing and putting it into a slicer, we always use STL. Exporting in SketchUp is a little different from exporting in Rhino. In Rhino, we can do the command I just showed where we go down here to export selected. So we just have to select what we want to export. But in SketchUp, the only option we have is to export the whole file. So what some people like to do is select something they don't want to export and they try to hide it and say, oh, it's not here anymore. But in reality, it's just hidden. So in the actual file, that model is still going to be there. So what you have to do in SketchUp is select everything that you don't want to print, delete it, and then you can export your file, and that will be the only thing left to print. So this will be the only thing in your file. So you have to delete everything except for the things you want to print. Otherwise, the stuff will still be there and it'll show up when you try to go slice it. It'll show up on the print bed and you won't be able to delete it within the slicer. So you need to delete it within the 3D designing software. Because we need to delete these models in SketchUp that we are not printing, if you want to save those models, I would highly recommend you make a copy of your file and then delete them on the copy and save your original with all the models that you want to keep. That way you can go back to the original and fix everything in case you did accidentally lose the models that you deleted.